The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for April 9th, 2026. This is season 15, episode number 60, and episode number 574 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
Taylor, we have 2 games left in the regular season. I don't even know what to do with myself because generally I go into a small depression when the season is over with, including playoffs, right? When that's over with, I go into this mini depression a little bit. I know you guys have racing, you have cadence, so you guys have things planned to do and whatnot. I don't have kids. I have cats. They don't care what I do. So I go into this little depression and I'm already starting to think about what I'm going to be doing in 4 weeks. And that's not good.
Probably thinking about what we're going to be doing next year, to be honest. But yeah, I get that feeling. It feels like, we just started yesterday talking about the season just starting. And now it's like the season, the ending's here and the regular season's just about to end. And it's almost like a bittersweet moment. Like you're both really happy because of like how this year has gone and like all the things that's happened. But at the same time, you're sad to see it end. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now is like, I'm so excited because, it's another sellout for one. It's, everyone's going to be so excited. The whole, the award thing that they're doing, which is something new, which is going to be a lot of fun. You know, just the fan appreciation night is always a fun time.
Yes.
So it's going to be super exciting. And then it's going to be also just really sad.
No, it's so true. And then, but we do have the playoffs and then hopefully another championship celebration, if that is going to be a possibility, if that's in the cards for us, if the hockey gods still love Binghamton right now, that will happen. And, I know all the players are going to try to make that happen. I know the coaching staff wants to make that happen. So, but it's so weird that we're at the end of the regular season and we only got 2 more games against Danbury. And as much as I've complained about playing against Watertown and Danbury, it's like, well, can't we play Danbury another 2 times after that? Because it's like, just to keep the season going just a little bit. I'm not trying to be a crybaby, folks. I know people love their summertime and they want their summer to happen. I don't do summer things. I used to when I was younger, but I don't do summer things anymore. It's probably because I'm married to somebody who hates the summer completely. She absolutely 100% hates the summer. Okay. Before we get to the Tully's Good Time Show, which I know you and Jeremy and Cadence were at, and we got some stuff to talk to you about of conversations that you had with like Brant Sherwood and Dominic Tomei and Jacob Shankar, I want to read something first. If you're a local business looking to connect with one of the most passionate fan bases in the FPHL, we got a great opportunity for you right here on the Power Play Post Show. Our show reaches a large and dedicated Black Bears and Power Play Post Show fan base, people who are engaged, loyal, invested in this team, show, and the community. We're currently offering sponsorship opportunities for your business to become part of our show. That includes being the presenting sponsor of our opening segment, which we're in right now, putting your name on exclusive player and coaches interviews, and even creating custom segments tailored specifically to your business. And we are developing a new 30-minute YouTube show that your business could be the lead sponsor of. This is more than just an ad read. It's a chance to align your brand with the Power Play Post Show and connect directly with fans who support the business that support their team. If you're interested in getting involved, we'd love to work with you. Both Taylor and I want to build something that fits your goals. Reach out to us directly, and let's make your business part of the Power Play Post Show. So I hope everybody hears that, who needs to hear that, and you guys can just reach out to me, or if you want to reach out to Taylor, and then we'll talk about things, you can do that as well. Now, Taylor, you were at the Tully's Good Time Show. You got to talk to, I think it was Jacob Shankar, Dominic Tomei, and Brant Sherwood, correct?
Yep. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. There was a couple other players there, but I didn't spend a lot of time talking to them. I think we only said like a couple of words to Sam Holy, but that's just because he was trying to get Jacob out of the restaurant.
That's funny. That's funny. So again, he's the bodyguard of Jacob Shankar, trying to pull him out like back in juniors. You didn't say anything to Maverick's brother there?
I did. I was going to, but he kind of just had his first interview. I was kind of letting him just reel that in.
Yeah.
Because, a first interview, let me tell you, it takes you through the emotions.
Why? Was your first time on the Power Play Post Show taking you through the emotions a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, definitely. I mean, mine was slightly different because I didn't have a camera in front of me, so I didn't have my face plastered, and a lot of people watching it.
Not yet.
Not yet. And I think he left pretty shortly after that. Like when it had finished up and everything, I think he got out of there pretty quick. And the bodyguard situation definitely sounds like a better story than what actually happened. Was Jacob drove. And because we were leaving, and Sam's like, yeah, if I drove, I'm sure somebody would have given him a ride home by now.
That's fair. All right. Well, let's talk about our first piece of audio. I got 8 pieces of audio from the Tully's Good Time show. Brooks did a good job with Brant asking him certain questions, and these are some of the things I want to talk about. So let's listen to what Brant had to say about winning this season.
Amazing year. The fact that our attendance grew and we were able to keep winning culture going for the third year in a row is it's pretty sweet. We have quite a special thing going on here as far as our organization and team goes.
It's very interesting because he talks very quickly a little bit about how they've kept the winning going for 3 straight years. And as we're at the end of the regular season, Taylor, I have to say, because you've heard me say it here on the show, it is so hard to repeat success at this level the way that they have done it at this level, right? In other words, losing less than 10 games 2 years in a row is just kind of crazy to think that they could do that. But dominating on the power play, improving their penalty kill so much. But these last 3 years have been just so impressive by the Black Bears and Brant Sherwood.
Yeah, I remember last season you gave me a project to do, which was writing about how much better last season was compared to the season before that. And then, we started this season and you're like, do you think they could be better last season this season? And I said yes, because the optimist in me, and you were like, it's going to be really hard to match it or even beat it. And, we're watching them through the season and, we just constantly kept going back to they're doing better. Like all the numbers, they're doing better on every level. They are doing better. Less penalty minutes, more power plays, just all around, just better numbers, better for everybody. Everybody, Brant even talks about it on the show, is how many people are having such a great season with their numbers. And it's so impressive.
I've got that audio too.
Yeah. I think it's going to be harder and harder each year. You get a bigger target on your back. The league grows more competitive, but, the fact that, some guys are hitting their individual marks and surpassing some of their accomplishments is pretty cool. One of the crazy ones is Gavin Yates, I think, is, he's been playing for a while, but I believe this was his season high for points. And, CJ Stubbs as well. I'm looking over at your sheet. Nick Swain.
By all means, I can share.
There's a lot of numbers out there, but just looking at the sheet briefly, it's we have depth scoring, and it's something that we talk about at the beginning of the year. Is you got to be able to score from your first and third line, from the back end, and.
So he talks a little bit about Gavin Yates there, and I don't know if we'll see Gavin much the rest of the season, depending on how his healing does from obviously what everybody saw on Friday night. But he's got 62 points on this season. It is the most in his career. And I'll eat crow. What did I say at the beginning of the season? I didn't know what kind of season Gavin was going to have because he is older. He's a smaller guy who can probably skate better than anybody in this league. So I'll give him that, and I've always given him that, right? But he scored 24 goals, 38 assists for 62 points, and he did it in 42 games, less games than some of the other seasons he's had in the league. And yet, the best season he's had. 8 power play goals, 2 game-winning goals, and he's a plus 23. He's had a really good season.
Yeah, and it just kind of goes to show like what Brant was talking about of what's been put together here in Binghamton. And watching Brant at the Tully show, the way that he talks about the players on the team and what they're willing to do for the team, and his interactions with the fans, like he really thanks everybody else except himself. Like he doesn't look at himself at all in like these situations. And I feel like I understand like why and stuff like that, but at the same time, like a lot of this comes down to him.
It does.
And what he's done, and the recruitment alone for like all the players that he's brought in, like that is him and what he is doing here in Binghamton, and like the history that's being made here, all the stuff that's happening for these players are movements that he has made and the things that he has done from the first year that he was here to now this year, where they could, they have a great chance at winning a third cup in a row. And, I remember last season where everyone was like counting us out because, nobody's done it twice in a row. And then Brant went and did that. And then, the league has looked down on him for so long, but yet look at what he's created and look at the things that he's done. And you can sit here and say that it's this person and it's this person. But at the bottom of it, the core of this thing is Brant Sherwood.
Yeah.
And I will stand by that all day long.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I'll be honest with you. I know of another head coach in this league who reached out to me just yesterday, and we had the same exact conversation, that he believed that Brant Sherwood is coach of the year, though more than likely we know it'll go somewhere else. Somebody else will get it. But he, a coach in this league, basically reached out to me and had this conversation with me about this yesterday. So I totally agree. I think when it all comes down to it, these guys are all having the season that they're having because Brant was able to convince them to come play together, and they bought into the system. And Coach Q probably helped them with some of their details at the NHL kind of level of thinking. And that's really helped these guys like CJ Stubbs, who's at 96 points right now. Ivan Bondarenko's at 95. Mac Jansen's at 66. So amazing numbers and amazing starts or amazing seasons for these guys, which is pretty impressive. Let's go to the next piece of audio.
That I find very interesting. The Black Bears still have 2 regular season games left, so these numbers can be adjusted. However, they can only go up. They can't go down. 54 games this year, and the 56 games played last year, the Black Bears had the exact same number of special team goals. The only difference is there was 7 more shorthanded goals last year. This year, there's 7 more goals on the power play, which I find that very funny.
Yeah, I guess we're a little bit more conservative with myself running the penalty kill, and I guess we're a little bit more opportunistic with Q running the power play. So that's awesome to hear that we scored more goals on the power play, and maybe we're just being a little bit more defensive on the PK, not cheating offense as much.
Well, you know what? You're not taking as many penalties, so you don't have as much time to go shorthanded.
That's a good point, and I'm not going to toot my own horn for that. I have to give John Quinville credit for that, for making us a more disciplined team.
It's what's interesting about that is last year they were, I think, 1,045 when it came to penalty minutes. I think they're at 944 right now. The only team that has less penalty minutes than the Black Bears is the Twin City Thunderbirds, who have 732. Either they're not playing hockey down there or they're the most disciplined team in this league by far, right? And then you have the Black Bears at 944. Taylor, I personally think that the reason for the difference in the special team goals, yes, they have the same amount as they did last year, but as Brooks, very wisely brought up, 7 less on the shorthanded side, but 7 more on the power play side. They are obviously taking care of the opportunities on the power play side, and on the shorthanded side, they just don't have as many opportunities to do that because they're not going down a man as often as they did last year.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting number, and to kind of bring up what Brant said in the or like beginning of the season, I think it was. This was back when Tyson was out and he was on the bench, is just having those extra pair of eyes. So Brant isn't in charge of, every little detail on the ice, and having Q there, even Tyson and, whoever else has been standing on the bench at certain points throughout this season, having that extra pair of eyes, I think has also kind of made a difference here. Because, Brant talked so highly of having Tyson there and, being able to see things that he didn't see and just stuff like that. So kind of having, Q take care of the power play and himself take care of the penalty kill, I think that's kind of where we're seeing the difference as well.
Yeah.
But also just, again, the discipline on this team. And, we watched the absolute craziness of Friday's game with Port Huron, and everybody was perfectly fine. Like, no suspensions on our end, no suspensions on their end.
Yeah.
Like that, it was insane the amount of stuff that happened in that game and the amount of penalties that came up. But I still think there was less penalties in that game than there was in that Blue Ridge game last season, because there were so many 10 minutes in that game that I don't even think this game came close.
No, you're absolutely right. And one of the things that Brant Sherwood has said to me the last couple of years at the end of each season is I really want a second pair of eyes full-time on the bench. Having an assistant coach full-time on the bench with him for every single game, goes on road trips. He's there for every single home game. No, maybe he's not in the office all day long, right? Maybe Q is not in the office all day long, helping him from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the evening, but he's there for every single practice. He's there for workouts, and he's there for every single game. And I think that alone, and plus just being able to talk to somebody on his level, I think has really benefited Coach Sherwood. And it's something that he's really wanted. And the other thing is that, Coach Quinville, having played at those higher levels, can teach Brant Sherwood about some of the details that maybe he couldn't do, which I think has really helped him out a lot. Again, I literally almost want to see this run another time, right? I almost want to see both of these guys back next year to see because I do believe the team is better this year than last year. Is that crazy to say? Even though we're going to lose one less game or not win the same amount of games, right? Should be short one if they win both games against Danbury. I still think that overall the team has improved over last year. Do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I've been thinking about that one a lot lately, just because, as I brought up earlier about me writing the thing last season about, the previous season being better. And, just all the things that I talked about. And yet you look at this season and you can't really look at just the wins and the losses. You kind of have to look at, it's kind of like looking at a goalie and just staring at their numbers and saying whether they're good or not.
Right.
It's kind of hard to do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And, given the situations or the circumstances and that, type of thing. So you kind of got to look at everything. And, as Brant brought up and you brought up and Brooks talks about, is so many players on this team are having such an outstanding year, and the amount of depth that's on this team. Because you can look at other teams and you can be like, oh, well, they're coming in, you have to watch out for this specific player, because we do that all the time.
Yeah.
Port Huron picked up these 2 D1 players and we're like, these are the guys we got to watch. You don't really talk about, other people on the team like that. And, you look at other teams, like you talk about Garrett Milan or Gus Ford, and you're like, these are the players you have to watch.
Yeah.
Where with Binghamton coming in, you got to watch all of them. You can't just watch CJ Stubbs, or you can't just watch, Mac Jansen or Tyson Kirkby or Gavin Yates. You have to watch every single one of them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if not, you're going to end up with a Nick Swain situation who somehow gets a puck sneaking past you and you can't stop it. And it's just one of those things where the depth on this team is so crazy this season that I truly think that overall it's a better season for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. Now, the next thing that they talked about that I clipped was about the power play and about power play points. So let's take a listen to that.
I wonder how many assists Ivan Bondarenko has.
I can tell you right here. Oh, on the power play?
On the power play.
That I can't tell you.
Because
that's my fault.
He's dishing all over the place on that unit.
Now, what's funny about this is, I want to be completely frank. This is where Taylor and I share a brain. We both immediately knew that we were going to be figuring this number out to give it to Brant. And we did so this morning. Now, she was going to do it today. while working, and I did it this morning before I started working, and we figured this out. So CJ Stubbs, as we all know, obviously is having a great season. Now, he has the most power play points with 42. He's got 12 power play goals, and he's got 30 assists on the power play, which is insane. The number that really stood out to me the most, though, about this, Taylor, was that he has 22 primary assists on the power play plus 12 power play goals. So if you think about it, he has a major influence on the power play with 34 like either goals or the primary assist. So that's the first guy, that's the last guy that's touching the puck before the guy scores the goal. And he has 34 of those. And then he has another 8 of the secondary assists, 42 power play points. And I agreed with Brant. I thought that Ivan Bondarenko would have like dwarfed everybody else on the power play for the assists, but he's only got 28. He's actually 2 behind CJ Stubbs. What were your thoughts when you saw these numbers?
I was a little bit shocked, not completely. I definitely, I agreed with you and Brant there, where I 100% would have thought it was Bondarenko. But at the same time, Stubbs has had such a phenomenal season, because I remember at one point last year before he got the monkey off his back where, it was like he was just missing the net every shot. And you were like, oh, like he's got like, it's almost like Cheech, where you're like, he's bound to get a goal at some point.
Yep.
And this season he's had, absolutely no problem finding the back of the net. And watching that line of, Stubbs, Jansen, and Bondarenko working together, it's just there's really nothing like it. And I understand why that line's put together, and I understand like they work so well together. Even if, Q is switching things up on him for the power play, like he's talked about in his interview and stuff. But yeah, it's just, I was a little bit surprised, but even that he's 2 behind Stubbs. So I guess it's not that shocking. Like if he was like really behind him, it'd be a little more of a shock, I think. But the fact that they're like neck and neck does not surprise me.
Now, the other thing that really surprised me as well is right behind Ivan Bondarenko is Austin DeRazio. Now, first of all, he's got the most power play goals on the team with 13. Okay, so that's impressive enough as it is. But he's also got 17 assists on the power play, right? So that's pretty impressive. So what he lacks in the maybe the assist columns, he gets in the goal column. And with Bondarenko having 31 power play points, DeRazio's got 30. Taylor, he's just had such a great rookie season. He really has. And I know that maybe I've gushed a couple of different times on this show about Austin DeRazio, but those numbers are just impressive for a rookie.
Oh, they definitely are. And I know he's been he's one of the crowd favorites when it comes to, the young guy who had to come in and fill some really big skates, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But it's been really cool to watch him and Stone on that line together. And just seeing what he does. I mean, he's quick. He definitely carries a lot when he's on the special teams, just the whole back and forth movement and stuff. And he really does have a great shot. I mean, that one game where he had 2 or 3 goals from the same exact spot almost.
3.
So yeah. So that's crazy. Like he definitely has his mark, and he's really good at hitting it. And I mean, plus he leads in the plus and minus. I mean, he's plus 47. The kid's phenomenal. I mean,
yeah.
Chances are, if he's on the ice, they're bound to score.
Now, I do want to bring up one last person when it comes to those power play points, and that is Gavin Yates. He's got 8 power play goals, but what's impressive is he's also got 10 primary assists on the power play. So if you think about that for a second, having him out maybe this upcoming week and maybe even beyond that is hurtful to the Binghamton Black Bears power play, because he has been important. He has 26 power play points, 8 goals, and 18 assists on the power play. Again, for a guy that I said at the beginning of the season, well, I don't know what we're going to get out of Gavin, because he was thinking about retirement, and then he decides to come back, and boom, he produces his best season ever. What the hell do I know about hockey? Why am I even hosting this show? I have no clue, clearly.
Well, we keep talking about Binghamton's a pretty hard place to leave. I mean, even Fletch said he wishes he could have come back. So
yeah,
it seems like it's pretty tough to just give up. But yeah, Yates is definitely one of the ones that you really enjoy looking forward to when it comes to the special teams.
Yeah.
He's definitely a lot of fun to watch on the ice. So yeah, if he's not able to come back for even the rest of the season in total, that would be a real shame to the power play. But he's again had a phenomenal season. Watching, as you said, we talk about all these players that said they were going to retire, or even did retire, like Stefan, and they came back, and everybody's having such a great season, and it's something that you can't not talk about. It really is.
I agree. Okay, moving on.
I think it was hard to come back the next day and play Watertown, a team that you're probably not, going to face in playoffs. I mean, they've been eliminated for some time now, so it's hard to kind of find that determination, motivation, whatever you want to call it, to get up for that game. But our guys, they did a great job. As soon as they gave up that goal, it was kind of a wake-up call for us. And then C-Mac shut the door the rest of the way. He stopped a lot of odd man rushes, which, gave us a little life and gave us a little extra time to get back in the game. He bought us some time with some timely saves, and it was great to see the boys respond and step up. They had a great second and third period. So super proud of them for, kind of in a nothing game to show up and do the right thing and be a pro.
It's a tough thing to come back and play a team like Watertown after playing a game against Port Huron. And you have to give the boys credit. You had a few of the college kids in. You were obviously playing up in Watertown for the 13th time this season, and they went out there and played good. And I think you and I and Coach are all in agreement that what was great is they didn't take the night off. They went out there and they played, and C-Mac did give up one goal in the beginning, and then after that, it was all Binghamton. And he still had to save 30-plus shots to win that game. So you got to give him credit. You got to give the team credit for pulling it together.
Yeah, it was definitely, we're kind of used to seeing the main guys, I guess you could call them the vets, if you want to word it that way, play the home game and, the Port Huron game, because that was, as, Q said, it was a playoff game to them.
Yeah.
And so to kind of see the lines that you don't normally see, or players that don't always get ice time, and even the college kids, because they need the games, to go up and go against Watertown, I definitely liked that. It wasn't like a game where nobody was really doing anything. It was like just a throwaway game. Nobody really cared because Watertown's out. Binghamton doesn't have to worry about Watertown. So it's nice that they definitely stayed on top of their game. I think the one goal early was a good thing, because I think it kind of made everybody, as Brant said, wake up and kind of actually go out there and play. And at first I thought it was going to be like a fairly close game.
Yeah.
And then, they kind of got it opened up there. And I feel like part of me thought that maybe like having Coachman on the ice was going to like try to get some stuff started or things happening. And it didn't really go that way. I mean, we saw Sargis go after somebody, and that was really probably the biggest thing that happened in that game.
And we didn't even see it.
And so I know, right? It's still so disappointing. But so to go from a game that was so heavy in the physicality and the whistles and this and that and everything in between, to go to a game where there was a little bit of stuff, but not anything like too major.
Right.
It was kind of refreshing. And, as you kind of said, both teams really played. And I think that's important, because you don't want to, as you're coming to the end of the season and, we have to face Danbury for our final two games. You don't want to go into those those last couple games and not give it your all. Because then you're going to get, kind of in that zone where you're like, oh, well, we didn't really have to play these guys. They're not really that important. We're not going to see them again after this. And then you go into the playoffs with that mindset, and that's just the wrong mindset to have. Where that's where I really like the way that, Q talks and the way that Brant talks, is that, Brant looks at everything day by day. Q is looking at things as, these are playoff games to us. Like, we're treating things as a playoff game. And that's something that, like, and I've talked about this even after you did the interview with Q, is the way that he's able to talk about things, and the way that he, like, he really changes like your viewpoint on stuff. And Like, I almost think that like Q needs to sit down in a room with Paul and really kind of talk to him about some stuff, and maybe he'll change his mind about some things, or maybe he'll have a different outlook on how hockey's supposed to go. But yeah, I definitely I appreciate everything that they have been doing, and because I don't remember if it was last season or the first season that we were always talking about, like, the guys not playing the full 60. They're not playing the full 60. Like, that was a constant thing that was being brought up.
Right.
And we haven't talked about that.
At all this year.
That's not something that's been brought up.
No.
And, it's been like, oh, well, they came out firing the first period and then they really closed it the third period. Or, we talk about periods in certain aspects, but nothing has been brought up about, oh, well, they didn't play this period or they didn't play this game.
It's a good point.
And that's something that I really appreciate this season.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point. All right, so he talks then about the Prowlers.
I was tremendously proud of our group, and I thought it was a amazing effort, physically and mentally. Our guys were just pretty focused and ready to go, and knew what they needed to do. And we played a heavy and hard game, and finished our hits, played super clean, and I think it really rocked the Prowlers' world, to be honest. I don't think they expected us to play that way, and we kind of bullied them. And, not only bullied them physically, but, also in the game of hockey as far as skill-wise. So I'm super proud of, how the guys went to battle for one another and stuck up for one another, but also kept their cool at the right points in the game. I thought our special teams were phenomenal, and just our overall puck pursuit and just hunting on the forecheck, it was awesome to see. And I saw a completely different Port Huron team than I saw at the beginning of the year.
Wow. Okay, so what was interesting about that was he said heavy and hard, that they brought basically the game that Port Huron usually plays. They brought it to them, which is essentially how we assessed it on Sunday when we talked about this game, which was we said they brought the physicality 100% to Port Huron. And I don't think Port Huron knew what to do with that. They knew to fight. They dropped the gloves. There were 4 fights in the game, but I don't think they knew how to react towards that.
Yeah, I think Port Huron, the only thing they know how to do is fight. If you look at literally all of their games this season, I'm sure you probably couldn't find 2 games where they didn't fight.
Right.
So it seems like that's kind of like the only thing they know how to do. And if it works, it obviously worked for them. They're in second place. So I'm assuming the momentum must carry through. But, to hear the differences between Brant and Paul and the way they talk about the games and stuff like that, very different perspectives, very different views. And I don't think Brant's view would be any different if the score was reversed at the end of the night. I still think that Brant would kind of have the same kind of view. Paul and I don't know. It's half the time I can't quite understand where he's getting some of his talking points. But
no, it's
Earlier today, Jeremy was actually commenting with Grant Mentis from Watertown on a post about Blue Ridge, because Blue Ridge released Dustin Jesso.
Yeah.
So they were kind of talking about that, and Port Huron versus Blue Ridge, and Grant Mentis had brought up that right now he's favoring Port Huron because they brought in those 2 D1 players, and that Blue Ridge got rid of Dustin Jesso. And Jeremy was like, Port Huron couldn't get used to us. We brought the physicality to them. He's like, Blue Ridge is going to have no problem bringing them the physicality. And he goes, the problem with those D1 players is, yeah, they could be great hockey players, but they went to Port Huron, of all places. We're the one place where they're obviously, as Paulin put, not focused on results. So you bring in these 2 D1 players that are probably from excellent schools, and they have probably great numbers. I haven't actually looked into them because
their numbers
team,
so their numbers aren't that great because they were 3rd and 4th line guys. So I think they're great. I think they're good players. Don't get me wrong. I just think that they were playing D1 hockey, so it's on their resume. They could have been playing in D3 and had more goals and more assists because both of the guys really didn't have that much. But when I saw Grayson Dietrich, I think is his name, on the ice, he's the one that scored 5 goals in his first 2 games. I saw the skill level. I saw it there. I'm not saying he's as good as Kyle Steffen, but I see the comparison, right? I can see that there. But that doesn't mean that you go to a team that plays nothing but a physical, hard and heavy kind of game, as Paulin likes to call it. And I don't see the results going to be coming from that on a consistent basis. So that's just it, though. The Binghamton Black Bears can be consistent with what they do, scoring and assists and the power play and the penalty kill and things of that nature. But Port Huron can't, which is why they rely so much on the fist.
Yeah, and that was exactly my point, because Jeremy was, commenting back and forth with Grant Mentis for quite a while about this, and he was, reading me what he was going to say, and, if it sounded good or if it was okay or not. And he talked about those D1 college players, because as I mentioned to you, watching them on the ice when they were against Binghamton, they looked so lost because Binghamton brought the physicality.
Yeah.
They brought the game to Port Huron, and those poor guys had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah.
If they were just out there to play hockey, they probably would have been better off. They probably would have had a better game.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was nothing but, physicality and pushing and shoving and the fights and everything in between, and they had no idea what to do. And I feel like Blue Ridge is probably going to match that kind of level, because we've seen that from Blue Ridge. They have that ability to do that. They have the ability to get into the scrums, and Blue Ridge and Port Huron have done that kind of back and forth stuff before.
Yeah.
So I don't think the D1 players is quite the positive impact that, everyone else is seeing. I think they look at the D1 label and they assume, oh, well, they've got to be, like the best of the best, and they've got these guys on their team. But then they're with Port Huron.
Yeah. 100%.
It made absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah, they might be better off playing on Athens or Binghamton or even Monroe.
Even Twin City, honestly. I would throw it
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. All right. So he talks about the upcoming playoffs.
That's exactly what it was. We were preparing like it was a playoff game, and I kind of want to see us, elevate it quite a bit. And the boys responded the right way. I thought it'd be a little bit closer, not such a big gap in the score, but no, they came to play. And sometimes you kind of question during the season with like how our schedule was. We played, Danbury when they were down in the middle of the season, or Watertown. They didn't have the most talented group. That, like, how are these guys going to respond against solid teams? And they truly answered the bell, and they took it to them and then some.
Now, what's interesting about that comment is I'll dig really deep into that comment, and I'm going to pull this out. Brant is basically admitting that they played Watertown 17 times and Danbury 16 times. That's 33 games in the 56-game season. And because you can see the records of those two teams and all the turnover that they had and all the problems that they had in both of those organizations, how was Binghamton going to fare against teams that are going to be in the playoffs, like PD, like Port Huron? Now, Port Huron is the team we played the most this season who's in the playoffs. We played them 8 times, and we beat them 7 out of 8 times. And 2 weekends before the playoffs even start, we hand them probably the best loss that we could hand them, which was we played their style of hockey, matched them 100% on that, and then beat them on the score sheet 5-1.
The best part about all of that to me is the fact that Brant said that they, and even Q said that they were looking at this as a playoff game.
Yeah.
Paulin obviously has said that they don't worry about results. They don't care about the stats. They don't care about the numbers. And yet they brought the physicality to this game because they wanted to amp it up. They wanted that playoff feel. They wanted this.
Yeah.
Binghamton wanted this.
Yeah,
That's the key factor here. Binghamton brought it to them, and Port Huron could not handle it. And we're looking at it as a playoff game. So in my mind, if Port Huron makes it through the first round and we face them for the second round, if that's the way it plays out, I would be worried if I was Port Huron, because they can't play hockey to beat us. They can't beat us to get the win. And they can't do anything to get under Tomei. I've asked him. I went up to Tomei and I said, is there anything that happens to you that gets under your skin or annoys you or anything that happens to you on the ice? And then I brought up, I was like for instance, when Brian Parsons cross-checked you into the ice. And he just shrugs and says, no. He's like, I saw that coming from a mile away. I knew when the game started and how it was going that something was going to happen. And he's like, after he had hit that puck up, he goes, I looked over and I came back and he was coming at me and I was like, here we go. And he's so unbothered. And then I was like, well, what about like the intermission stuff when they weren't going to let you go off the ice and they were like kind of coming after you? And he just shrugged and he's like, meh. I was like, this kid, the mental fortitude on this kid, because Jeremy and I have talked, and we, Connor McAnanama, mental fortitude of, it's been amazing. The playoff run that he had, fantastic. But we also know if that cross check came to him, he would have laid Parsons out.
He would have.
Without a doubt in my mind, he would have done something to he would have done something to Parsons without a doubt in my mind. Yeah. And then Tomei's here and he's like, absolutely nothing bothers me.
It's a different type of mental fortitude, right? They're both strong in their own ways, where when Connor gives up a bad goal, it doesn't bother him. He moves on, right? But then when you have, but if somebody came at him like that, obviously we know he's going to drop the gloves. He's going to go after Parsons. Where you take someone like Tomei, probably similar, gives up a bad goal. Okay, shrugs it off and moves on. Yet, when Parson comes after him, he just ignores it. He just forgets about it. And then when Reggie Millette goes after him at the end of the second period, what does he do? He just finds a way to skate around him and go back. It's pretty impressive. All right, we have one more audio to go to finish up this little segment of the show. So let's listen to that.
I wouldn't expect to see most of our guys in the lineup, especially on Friday night. A little bit of the majority on Saturday night. But, at this point in the year, we have some bigger fish to fry. Not to, overlook Danbury. We're going to prepare for it the right way. But also part of this week is preparing for next Wednesday as well. So, your focus is in a couple different spots, and you hope the guys can compartmentalize and be able to balance that focus of like, hey, we got to do the right things. We still got to play the right way, but we got to get out of it safe as well and make sure we have healthy bodies going into next week.
I think this is very interesting because I know that players can definitely go into, a weekend like this and maybe let their guard down. And I think that Coach Q and Brant Sherwood are probably going to say all the right things to make sure that they don't do that.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about like them, letting their guard down, as you kind of just said, or anything of that nature happening. And that's just based on how they have faced every other game this season and how they've kind of managed to do that. And, battling different teams and different, weekends and stuff. You take it and you move on type of thing. Like, when they take a loss, you're always like kind of worried, like, oh no, like, could this be the start of like a downhill, or, is this a domino effect? Did something bad happen? They were going to see it kind of trickle down. So you always kind of like worry about little stuff like that. But then the way that this group is able to overcome things and to turn around and to quickly, like, move on from something and to be able to adjust on the fly, as we've talked about before, with Brant's able to do things. I'm not worried about how the team's going to be able to handle this weekend and get ready for, to turn around and go next Wednesday. Danbury, they're not as physical as they have been in previous seasons.
Right.
So in that aspect, I think it's probably a good thing. Because, as Brant said, you don't want anybody else getting banged up or injured or hurt or anything like that to happen. And honestly, I kind of hope that these last two games with Danbury, like, they're just out there to give it their all and they're there to play hockey. That's what I truly hope for both sides, honestly. But it would just be nice to see, Danbury, go out with a swing and really just play hockey and see how they can, compare to us.
Agreed. All right. Before we dive even deeper, because we're already really deep into this show, let's remind you that the 11x14 poster giveaway is back still again this week. We are many weeks into running the poster giveaway, and your response has been absolutely awesome. I love all the pictures that I take and can put up on the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. And we're going to do it again here on this episode. At some point during tonight's show, hopefully sooner than later, right? We're going to drop a secret code phrase. When you hear it, that's your cue. Send it directly to Taylor in a Facebook Messenger message. Taylor will be watching the inbox, and if you're the winning message number tonight, you will score an 11x14 Black Bears poster of your choice, ready for pickup at an upcoming home game. We don't have many home games left, depending on how the playoffs go. So stay locked in, don't zone out, and be ready, because that code phrase could come at any time.
Black Bear fans, do us a quick favor. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the show. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you're following the podcast and leave us a rating. It's completely free to do, takes 2 seconds, and it tells YouTube and Spotify to push the show out to more Binghamton Black Bear fans and more hockey fans just like you. Drop a comment too. We read them and we love hearing from you.
All right. The Power Play, I don't think I've read this far into an episode before. The Power Play Post is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe, just like Taylor told you to do. And you always got to listen. Join the conversation on Facebook, search Power Play Post Show, and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey? Visit binghamtonhockey.net. Coming up on this episode of the Power Play Post Show, we haven't even mentioned that he's on the show this week, but he is. Black Bears forward CJ Stubbs is on the show. That's right. Mr. 96 points. Can he get to 100 this weekend? We'll see. Hopefully he's playing both games. I don't know. I really hope he is. But Taylor, let's start talking.
And how fitting, because we just talked about his power play numbers too.
Yes.
So.
Yes, exactly. Let's dig in, because there is news about the first round of the playoffs that we can at least talk about.
So the first round of playoffs is set, and the Black Bears are playing the Topeka Scarecrows, a team that we have not seen yet this season, but we've heard a lot about when they came in, because they took 2 of our favorite players.
Yes, well, definitely for me, for sure, 100%.
I think the fans definitely, they're still feeling that burn a little bit, especially with Oliveri, but Blue Ridge and Topeka could tie in points with 93, but the Bobcats have the tiebreaker in hand with more regulation wins, so the Black Bears and the Scarecrows will meet in the first round. The schedule: Wednesday, April 15th at 8:05 p.m., because they're an hour behind us.
Yes.
In Topeka, and that is a Wednesday game, so that each team has, some time for travel.
Yep. Which
I got to hear all about the travel stuff. They're getting a fancy bus to go out, which sounds fun.
So Binghamton is busing out there.
So the team is, and then everybody else is flying.
Okay, so some people are flying, but the team is going to be on the bus. Okay, because
they got the big. Andreas got the big charter bus, whatever. I don't remember what it's called. I don't remember if it said charter or not, but it's a big bus.
So both teams technically will be busing. However, a lot of our support staff is flying, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Friday, April 17th at 7 p.m. in Binghamton. And then Saturday, if needed, April 18th, 7 p.m. in Binghamton.
Yes.
I
was going to say, let's talk about the schedule for a second. I think the schedule's fine. Obviously, our last game of the regular season's on Saturday, so then they have Sunday. I'm going to guess they'll probably be off on Sunday for sure, and probably practice on Monday, and then travel on Tuesday. That's what I'm going to guess. Don't quote me on that. But I'm going to guess that's what's going to happen. He's probably going to give them off on Sunday so they can relax, rest up a little bit, recover some, because guys need a day or two to recover sometimes. Come in, have a practice session on Monday, probably not too late, probably a little bit later in the morning, so not too early. So, maybe like 10:30, 11 o'clock, I would imagine. And then Tuesday, they'll be traveling. So guys will either be on a bus or flying or however they're getting there. The Tuesday that, and then Wednesday morning, they'll probably have a pregame skate in Topeka on that ice to get used to the ice a little bit. But I just wanted to say that. I think it's a good schedule.
Yeah, that sounds probably right to me. I know they've got, a couple bus drivers lined up and ready to go so they can, just get there and get ready and everything. So that they have everything is lined up and ready to go. So, Wednesday game, Friday game, Saturday game, if necessary. And I know there was a comment somewhere, not exactly sure where, about being kind of confused about having home ice and stuff. The first game in each round is the other team.
Yes.
That's just the way that it always is. Binghamton does have home ice, so they get the ending part of the series, whether it's 2 games or 3 games, however many, So if they go in the first game and they lose, or they go in the second game and they win the first game but lose the second game, then they play a third game.
Yeah.
But if they win both the first and second game, then you don't worry about the third game at all.
Yeah, exactly.
The Black Bears and the Scarecrows, though in the same division, have not faced each other in the regular season. Their first meeting will be in Topeka for Game 1 of the playoffs.
That's nuts.
And I remember I asked Brant how if it was such a weird thing, and he said that it was strange to see something like that in this kind of a league. And yeah, I've got to agree. That's in our own division, I think, is the part that's really the crazy part. Continental, I can kind of understand.
Yep.
You don't always face, all the teams in the Continental, but our own division is wild to me.
I talked about this.
Either way, it would be like Blue Ridge or Topeka. That would have been,
I talked about this in the beginning of the season. I said us not playing Blue Ridge or Topeka means that we'll likely meet one of them, more than likely, and we could meet 2 of them now that we didn't play this year. Now, we have played Blue Ridge before. We know some of the players. We know the head coach. We know the love that he and Brant Sherwood have with each other. So that's a little bit of a more known than what we know about the Scarecrows, which you're going to go into now.
So what do we know about the Scarecrows? Stephen Klink, who used to play in Watertown, he was a big guy in Watertown. I think we were all shocked to know that he wasn't in Watertown.
Yep.
He's now with the Scarecrows. His numbers are in 47 games played. This is split up between Watertown and Topeka.
Yep.
He's got 36 goals and 40 assists for 76 points. In Topeka, he's got 12 games played for 8 goals, 11 assists for 19 points.
So he's been productive. He's been productive there.
Which doesn't surprise me. He seems like he's pretty productive no matter where he would end up.
Yeah.
Cam Clark, the former Binghamton Black Bear forward who helped the team win the Commissioner's Cup last season, has played in 48 games, has scored 27 goals and 23 assists for 50 points.
Yeah.
So he's had a good season.
Yeah.
Sammy Bernard, which is a goalie that we've seen from Elmira.
Yep.
Matt Lenz is a goalie we've seen from Watertown. Are their 2 netminders. So we kind of know the netminders, at least some of us know the netminders fairly well.
Yes.
Robbie Nichols is their head coach, which we've all heard about from the beginning of the season because, again, he took the beloved Don Oliveri and Chris Mott in the expansion draft, and everybody was just so happy about it, including myself. I was pretty upset about that too.
Yeah, I
was shocked more than anything because I could not believe that he would take Don because I was like, there's no way he's going out there to play. And well, we were right, but. We will break down more about the Topeka Scarecrows next week on both our Sunday weekend wrap-up show and our Tuesday show before Game 1.
Which I'm hoping that you and I will be able to work out a time to record not a long episode, but just an opening segment that isn't like today's opening segment, but an opening segment that we can lead into whatever interview I have, and then we'll pretty much wrap it up there because we'll be just talking about the Topeka Scarecrows and a little bit more of what we can find out about this team and what it's going to be like to play them. So that kind of gives you a little bit of the schedule of what's coming up for us and everything. Now, the big question is, who would you rather play against? Topeka, the brand new team that we've never played at all, or against Blue Ridge, who we have played against last season? And does the hatred still live on between the 2 teams? So I had written this down, and I didn't know that you had the conversation that you did with Brant Sherwood. So why don't you go through that conversation on air here that you had with Brant Sherwood about who to play in the second round of the playoffs?
Yeah, so my conversation with Brant was more of a would you rather Blue Ridge or Port Huron? And it's funny because him and Jeremy are kind of on the same page. where they both kind of think that Blue Ridge kind of has the upper hand and that they could possibly beat out Port Huron, and that could be
right.
Who wins that series there, which is kind of interesting. And I kind of I get the point, and I'm very much back and forth on that. And I think that's what a lot of the other teams that are other fans are kind of looking at, is who could possibly win that matchup. And he was kind of it's almost like he wanted to possibly play Blue Ridge just because we haven't. But at the same time, he was kind of hoping that Port Huron and Blue Ridge just mess each other up enough that whoever comes after us, they're just going to, they're beat up at this point. So, you get to come to Binghamton after getting beat up. So it was still a pretty interesting conversation. And the one with Tomei was definitely better than that.
So
because Tomei hasn't faced, Blue Ridge or Topeka, and, he was very much just, it doesn't matter who you give us. And I was like, all right, that's a very fair statement. He would very much take anybody on this in this league. You throw him at him, and he's fully ready.
And what's funny is his answers are basically the same across the board. Doesn't care if someone's coming after him on the ice and cross check. Doesn't care if someone's stopping him on the ice from being able to go in for the intermission. And when it comes to the teams he faces against, doesn't really matter to him. It doesn't matter. He's just going to still play, because the team has always said, and I think this is a key point here, they're just going to play their game. Now, they broke that rule once and played Port Huron's game in the final game against Port Huron, but that's okay. That's okay. So let me ask you, you have no concerns realistically playing against a team that we've never seen before versus Blue Ridge in the first round, where if we faced them, we at least we know somewhat of how their head coach coaches based on playing them last year.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much kind of where I stand. You go into Topeka, and, Brant and Robbie, I'm pretty sure, know each other a decent amount, do they? I'm not entirely sure.
They know of each other. Robbie was coaching, I think, here in the Fed when Brant was playing most of his time in the SPHL. So I don't know if they had too much run-ins, but they probably talked to each other at the summer meetings last year. So, and there's probably been phone conversations or emails that they've had, especially when it comes to, Cam Clark and Chris Mott and, the whole Don Oliveri thing. I'm sure there's been an email or two that's gone back and forth on that. So I think Brant just knows, being the history of the game type of person that he is, he knows what Robbie Nichols has done in Elmira, New York, and with the teams there. So I think he's aware of Robbie Nichols, and, always been a guy who's always run a hard-nosed kind of style of play. Even he said he wanted rough and tumble this upcoming season. I don't know if he really put that on. I think his teams play a little bit more of the Watertown Danbury style of hockey, where they'll lay some hits and they'll be physical, but they don't overdo it like a Monroe or a Port Huron or even Athens to a degree. So I think it's one of those things where he knows of them, and obviously Robbie Nichols has kind of paid attention the last couple of years and knows who Brant Sherwood is.
Yeah, so I mean, you know a little bit about the coach. We know the two netminders. At least the guys who played the Elmira team know Bernard pretty well.
Right.
Matt Lenz from Watertown, we know him fairly well. We obviously know most of the team knows Cam Clark.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, he's probably one of the guys you want to watch out for, just because I feel like in Darian Benchick's case, he's probably one of the guys that can score on Binghamton. He knows Binghamton. He played for Binghamton. Stephen Klink, again, is from Watertown. So we know enough about some of their players that I'm not going into this overly concerned that it's going to be this huge shell shock of they're going against somebody and they have no idea what to do. I'm almost thinking that they're going to go into this and they're going to play hockey, and we know that they can do that. Where Blue Ridge, my concern with that is kind of, is the tension still there from last season? Because we haven't seen them since that,
right.
That whole series happened and that whole kit caboodle went down. And now you're going against them in a playoff situation, possibly. That's insane. is that tension still going to be there, or is it dispersed and nobody cares because it's a new season, it's a new game, it's a new, you're going after something completely different now, or does that flare up and, it gets real again?
Yeah, well, I guess
so that's kind of
we'll find
my
out.
concern there, but
yeah, well, we'll also find out possibly in the second round. If they make it to the second round, we make it to the second round, then we'll see if that tension is still there between Binghamton and Blue Ridge. And do either team take any risk of repeating any of that happened last year because it is the playoffs? I would probably say no, but you never know. Well, we'll talk about that when we get there. All right, Taylor, it is time for the 11x14 poster giveaway. Please tell the fans this week's special code phrase.
It is a very special code phrase because it's something that doesn't happen very often here.
No.
It is the downtown double header.
That's right. Okay, fans, if you're the 23rd person, I don't know why the 23rd is important here, but if you're the 23rd person to message Taylor with the special code phrase downtown double header, you will win an 11x14 player poster of your choice. Winner gets to choose from any current Black Bears player and will deliver the poster at an upcoming home game. Send in that special code phrase, and thank you for listening to the Power Play Post Show. Taylor, one more time, the special code phrase.
It is downtown double header.
Okay. And which number do they have to be?
23rd. In other words, the person who's going to be the interview.
Okay. Do you want to lead us into that interview?
All right. Coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show is going to be the interview with the Black Bears forward, CJ Stubbs, who's had a phenomenal freaking season and is apparently the leader in the power play points here. But we'll be right back right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buchinski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Very excited to have this gentleman back on the show here with us on the Power Play Post Show. I've been calling him maybe the MVP of the Binghamton Black Bears, maybe the MVP of the league, although Dominic Tomei might have a say in that a little bit as well. But he is their best forward probably on the ice this whole season. He is CJ Stubbs. CJ, welcome back to the show. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, Bob. Well, appreciate it. It's good to be back talking to you again.
Yeah, absolutely. So 39 goals, 57 assists for 96 points. You're 4 points away from 100-point mark, which with your average, you could easily do that this upcoming weekend against the Danbury Hat Tricks. Do you ever kind of look at the stats? Do you ever really know where you're at, or is it just you want to play shift to shift, period to period, game to game, and not really think about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't, know where I was sitting. Obviously, getting to 100 has kind of been a goal of mine from, maybe 80 points out. But,
yeah,
at the end of the day, it's just playing hockey and just trying to, put the puck in the net and better for our team and try and win games. So.
Your line mates have been Ivan Bondarenko and Mac Jansen a good portion of this season. Can you tell the fans and tell me why the three of you guys have just gelled so well together? Because you played well with Tyson up on that line, and a couple other guys have also shifted up there when need be, and you guys have done still very well. But what is it about the three of you, with Ivan and Mac that has been so good?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's got a few things to do. There's a respect level there. We've all played at, a similar level. We've all kind of broke into the league around the same time. And, we just understand, what it takes to win hockey games. And I think, Bondo he's just such a great passer, and, Janny's more of a, goal scorer. And I think we all just kind of complement each other very well.
Yeah. And Bondo's very selfless, right? Like he really does just dish that puck off as much as possible. Do you think that if he was a little bit more selfish, right, do you think he could score more than the 19 that he's got this year? But I mean, he's got 76 assists. I mean, that's just nuts. That's just insanity to say. But do you think if he was a little bit more selfish, he could score more?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's more of a selfless thing. I think he's just got such a good hockey mind, and he knows, who he's playing with. He's just such a good passer. That's like his main thing.
Yeah.
And I think he just does that very well. Obviously, I think he could score with the best of them, but it's just what he brings to the table. He's just, he's an apple tree. So that's just who he is. It's what he does. And I think he does it the best out of anybody,
when I look at some of the numbers here, and this just astounds me, you have 12 power play goals. Mac Jansen's got 10 power play goals. Austin DeRazio's got 13 power play goals. Kirk's, with the limited amount of time that Kirk's has been on the ice, he's got 8 power play goals. The power play has been outstanding all year. And I know there's even a little bit of a fun kind of competition between the first power play unit and the second power play unit. Talk a little bit about the power play and why it's been so good, whether it's the first power play unit or the second.
Yeah, I mean, I think Q has really taken on, the role as power play coach. And I think, he's always talking to us in power play meetings and all this. And he's always talked about how he's been on the power play his whole career. So he knows what it takes. He's played in every spot. So, putting Kirk's net front is huge for us. He's the best net front guy in the league.
Easily.
And then you got me and Bondo on the wings. We're good passers, good goal scorers. You got Janny, who's, can score with the best of them. And then you got D-Raz, which in my opinion, defenseman of the year. He's our quarterback, and he's a young kid, but he's learned a lot from Q, and he's, he does a good job up there. So, yeah, I mean, it goes in waves. Obviously, I think we have the best power play in the league, not just our power play, but our second power play as well. You can put them out there as number one, and they'd still do very well. So I think Q brings a lot to the table when it comes to the power play.
We were talking a little bit before we went on air and started recording a little bit about Q's influence. Can you kind of explain to some of the fans what that influence has been, even for a guy like you, who you've done a lot, you've won championships, you've played at different levels of hockey. What has been the influence of Q on this team?
Yeah, I think Q brings an element that not a lot of people can bring to a hockey team. He's played in the NHL. He has brothers that, play very high level hockey. And I always believe that when you're moving on to, the higher levels, it's all about the details. And Q is really good at those, little details that you might not know. And he really is able to kind of teach us those details to, improve our game and improve our power play, improve our penalty kill, and just, improve our team as a whole. And, we're very fortunate to have him on the team as our coach. And he's the best. So.
A lot of people, some of the criticism towards the Binghamton Black Bears is that they have a lot of players that should be or could be playing at a higher level. And I know this question has been brought up before here on the show, but I'm kind of curious to your thoughts on this. Why play in Binghamton in the Fed if, yes, 5 or 6 of these guys could be playing at the SPHL level or maybe even the ECHL level? Let's be honest, Tyson has kind of really turned down the opportunity to play at the ECHL level. Why do you think it is you guys want to play together here in Binghamton? And not necessarily just for Coach Q or for Brant, but there's got to be another reason.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of the guys, you want to win, right? Like that's what we're kind of have been established here is we've got a winning culture. And, I mean, come on, look at it. Binghamton, we're playing in an NHL, or AHL arena.
Yep.
It's pretty special here. They got a good thing going here. And, from top to bottom, from Andreas down, they've got it figured out here. So, it's pretty special to play here. And I think players like Kirks and Yates and Anderson, they've all kind of paved the way here and really shown what such a good place it is to be here. And so, yeah, we're pretty fortunate to play for Binghamton. And I think, a lot of things are going to start changing here. I think a lot of players are going to start wanting to come to this league and, maybe pay or whatnot. But I think it's a lot better league than maybe it has been in the past or what people believe. But I think it's going to start taking off in the next, 2, 3, 5 years. So,
well, you're the start of that, right, CJ? I mean, last year when you came in, I know you had a friendship with Brant Sherwood. Everybody, we've chronicled that multiple times about some of the friendships and the networking that Brant has done to bring players here, and you're one of those guys. But you kind of started that kind of trend of being able to come in. Garrett Milan did down in Athens as well, where he's played at a higher level and could come into Athens and play there. And your message to them is it's not bad here. This is not the same Fed as maybe 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it just makes sense to me, like you're doing a lot for so little in the SP. Obviously it's a great league. Like, I don't want to take anything from it, but
right.
It's just a different dynamic here in the Fed. And, there's new teams in Athens and hopefully that new team in, Memphis, I think they're going to take off and do well too. So this league is just growing and growing. And I think players are starting to understand that there's, more than just the SPHL or the ECHL. And I think it's a good thing. And I think we're going to see it take off.
CJ, the team is right now 46-6-2 with 2 games left. They can finish with 1 less win than last year. And I've been saying for a long time, it is so hard to repeat success in professional sports, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, hockey. I don't care what level it's at. It's very hard to repeat. Why do you think you guys have been able to repeat? Is it just the returning players, or is there more to it that helps you guys get to the point where you've now repeated almost the same exact record as last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just is a testament to the core here that's been here for, 3-4 years with, Kurtz, Yates, Ando, C-Mac, you got Stone on the back end.
Yeah.
And obviously Scherzi, he's a people's person. He knows people. He knows what it takes to bring guys in, and he has those, relationships with people, and he's, filling those spots. So, yeah, I think we've, there's a culture here and it's winning. And I think that's the standard at this point on.
When we talk about culture and the culture here in Binghamton is winning, one of the things that we've talked about recently on the Power Play Post Show is the culture in Port Huron is a little bit different. Talk a little bit about that game on Friday night, full house in front of the home crowd. And it wasn't about just, winning a game. And you almost had to win almost every single battle on the ice, even if it was a fight or a hit, things of that nature. From your perspective, what was that game like? Because, as a fan or maybe a media member up in the box, we're watching this and going, whoa, this is a new level of maybe dislike between the two teams.
Yeah, I think we've kind of built that rivalry, but at the end of the day, that was just playoff hockey. And I think we kind of had that, we've had that talk headed into that game is like, this is playoff hockey. Like, let's see what we're made of. And, at the end of that game, I think we were all pretty happy of, what we have here, headed into the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, they play a playoff style hockey game, and we were ready for it. And I don't think they were as ready as we were. So I think that just shows, that we are ready.
Now, they're second in the division, and yet they've only beaten you guys one time, and that was back on November 1st. Are they still a dangerous team in the playoffs, do you think?
Yeah. I mean, you can't take any team lightly. I think, especially after playing them last year in the second round, it's like I said, it's a growing rivalry, and you can't take any team lightly. But we're pretty confident in this group, so we're we're ready for it.
CJ, I know you don't play goaltender, but I'd like you to play goaltending coach for just a minute for me. You guys have the two best goaltenders in the league. In my eyes, Dominic Tomei has been outstanding, and so has Connor McAnana's resume speaks for itself. I'm not going to ask you to pick who's going to play in the playoffs. We know that Dom's the number one right now. He's going in. But if you go back and you watch any video, because I'm sure you guys do video sessions and whatnot, what do you see within Dominic Tomei that makes him such a good goalie? I know you're not a goaltender. You've been around hockey for a very long time. You know what makes a good goaltender, but what is he doing so well? Because I can't get it out of him. He doesn't want to talk about it. He just gets upset when he gives up one goal in a game, right? But what does he do so well on the ice between the pipes that makes him such a good goaltender?
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about a couple things. So Dom, he is a competitor. He's never out of the fight. So if you think you have him, you don't. He's very sound technically. He's a very humble person. He's never complaining.
Nope.
If he's given up a breakaway or something, it's always like, oh, that's my bad. So super humble guy. Hands down best goalie in the league. Him and C-Mac, like, come on, we have the two best goalies in the league. But the thing that people don't see is the time spent at the rink, the time spent, in the gym, the time spent taking care of his body. Those are the things that you don't see. And I think that's what makes him a good goalie. I think just who he is as a person, what he does to prepare is what makes him who he is.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, I've been there after practice a few times this year, and then I see him still working all the way to the end where there's only like one or two or three guys left on the ice. That hard work, that dedication to kind of perfect the craft, even if he's out there by himself doing something to really help. And then even just a couple hours later, he's on the ice again with maybe a youth hockey player trying to teach them how to be a goalie as well, which is huge. And that's one of the things about this team that's very interesting is, like, there are certain days where there might be 6 or 7 of the players out there teaching young kids. What does that say about a team that they even want to give back, even on days where they're supposed to be working and they're supposed to be, thinking about their craft? They're out there teaching hockey to youth kids. That's great.
Yeah, I think that just goes to show you the type of character that's in our locker room.
Mm-hmm.
They're just a bunch of good people in that locker room, and I think that's why we're so close knit. And they really care about the community, and whether it may be coaching or whatever it may be. But yeah, there's just a good. We got a good group in this locker room.
Now, coming up this weekend against the Danbury Hat Tricks, first game on Friday night is in Danbury. Final game for you guys to go down there this season. They're not making the playoffs. What's the mindset going into this weekend as you guys prepare for the playoffs?
Yeah, I would say just, habits and details is, it's important to not lose any of those. But, Danbury, they've improved. They're out of playoffs, but at the end of the day, they still want to win hockey games, and they brought in some good college guys. So I think it'll be a good test, to stay sharp and stay ready for, the playoff push here.
And then on Saturday at home, final regular season home game, you guys obviously want to put on another good show. It's going to be a sellout crowd again. It's fan appreciation night. It's team awards night as well. It sounds weird to say this because you guys have won so many games. You can't improve your, rankings or anything like that going into the playoffs. But how important is it as just for a pride purpose to just win on Saturday night in front of the home crowd?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we do in Binghamton. We win. And I think part of it has to do with, our crowd. And whenever there's a sellout crowd, obviously that gives us, extra energy. But yeah, I mean, fan appreciation, obviously we want to do it not just for our team, but let's do it for the fans. So, we're ready to put on a good show on Saturday.
Okay. And last question I have for you for right now. Actually, I have two more, but one is, it looks like it's going to be Topeka, which means you guys have to take a flight, get on a bus or a train, or however they're going to get you out to Topeka. You guys have not played against Topeka at all this year. So you guys don't know much about them. Maybe watch a little bit of video. I would imagine Brant will get some video put together for you guys on that. Does that sway the way you guys play a little bit when you guys do get to the first round, that you don't know the team?
No, I mean, Schurzy and Q, they do a good job at making sure we're prepared, whether it be video or whatever. But really, we're focused on us. We're the team to beat, and if we play our game the way that we're supposed to and expected to play, I don't think we should have a problem. But like I said earlier, you can't take any team lightly. So still gotta put our A game on. So yeah.
Okay, I'm going to end it with this. I do this after January 1st for almost every single interview. CJ, and I want a definitive answer. What is the goal for this team?
Oh, championship.
That's simple.
Championship or bust. Yep.
Excellent. He is CJ Stubbs from the Binghamton Black Bears. CJ, thank you very much for coming back on. I appreciate it. I'm glad we finally, were able to kind of nail it down. It only took us, 6 months to do it again?
Yeah, something like that.
CJ, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Bob.
And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was CJ Stubbs. He is pretty much the leader in a lot of things here on the Power Play Post Show. You'll get to hear more from him as he answers 6 more questions. Now, Taylor, I don't know if you know how many 6 is. 6 more questions, not 5 more questions.
I don't know. Maybe we got to ask Bondarenko. He does the whole 6-7 thing for his goal, his celebration. So
yeah, I know.
Maybe we'll have to ask him.
It's just so weird that he does that.
He's got kids. It makes sense.
So it's a kid thing. Okay. Well, you've got kids, and so all righty.
Oh yeah, when she says it, I roll my eyes, it bothers me. And then if she notices it or somebody says something about it, oh yeah, she does it, and I'm like, oh no.
Wow, she's 5 years old and she does that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I thought it was more of like a preteen type of thing, but so.
Oh well, she acts like one, so.
Fair enough. All right. Support the Power Play Post Show by subscribing on YouTube. When you subscribe and like episodes, it signals to YouTube that hockey fans are engaging, which helps recommend the show to more viewers. You can also see our shorts and reels on there too. As our community grows, we're able to deliver more interviews, insights, and hockey discussions. Subscribing and liking is the most effective way and completely free way to support the show. Join fellow hockey fans and subscribe on YouTube today. All right, Taylor, we're down to our final regular season preview of the upcoming games for the Binghamton Black Bears. It's kind of weird. Again, I know I said it in the beginning of the show that it's kind of weird that we're near the end of the regular season, but here we are.
And hey, at least it's not Watertown.
That's true. It's just the other team that we've played way too much this year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
So previewing the final 2 games of the regular season, a home series versus the Danbury Hat Tricks. These will be games 15 and 16 of the season versus the Hat Tricks. The Black Bears will travel to Danbury Friday night, where they are 5-1-0 against the Hat Tricks. The Black Bears will then host the Hat Tricks in Binghamton on Saturday night, where they are 7-0-1 this season. The Hat Tricks are only in the second. The Hat Tricks are only the second team this season to have 2 wins over the Black Bears. The other is Twin City. On February 28th, the Hat Tricks got a shootout win over the Black Bears 4-3 in Binghamton. On March 28th, it's kind of funny how it's both on the 28th.
I know.
The Hat Tricks also got a win over the Black Bears in regulation 6-4.
I'm glad you actually noticed I'm glad you actually noticed that, the 28th, because like I did. I was like, oh, well, that's kind of neat. That was 30 days apart from each other, or 28 days apart from each other, actually. But I do find that interesting that, I mean, it really is only two teams that beat us twice this year. And this year it's Watertown and Twin City. Last year, I think it was just Port Huron. Port Huron had 2 wins against us. So it's interesting how this year it's Watertown and Twin City.
It seems like Binghamton's not a hard team to beat twice, apparently.
Yeah.
That soft team over here.
We are soft, yes.
Against the Hat Tricks this season, the Black Bears have scored 71 goals and only given up 30. That is an insane number.
Yeah.
To the Hat Tricks. The Black Bears have scored 17 power plays against the Hat Tricks, with Austin Durazio scoring 5 man-up goals, and Mac Jansen and CJ Stubbs each scoring 3 goals on the power play. Saturday's home game is a sellout. You can check out Ticketmaster for any resale tickets that have been turned in, but it will mark the team's 13th sellout of the season. Last season, the Black Bears had 10 sellouts in the regular season.
So that's improved.
Which is, something that we talked about, again, the beginning of the season, that we didn't think was going to happen, that the numbers were going to keep going up. We talked about that schedule a lot and how we were like, man, the less home games that we have, the number's going to go down, and it hasn't.
No, it did not.
Just crazy. Saturday's game is Fan Appreciation Night. First 1,000 get a team poster. The Black Bears will also announce their first ever team awards, including the Fan Choice Award, which you, the fans, get to decide on.
Yes. So, which is pretty cool. And I think Taylor and I might be down there for the awards. So that'll be pretty neat as well. And I know that after this weekend, we will also announce who was the impact player of the year for this season. And I was actually surprised when she actually told me the numbers earlier today, because she went through and she tallied it up. It's actually close between 2 people. We're not going to say who. If you've been paying attention, though, you probably have an idea, but we won't say who because of 2 more games this weekend.
I feel like it's close between quite a few of them. Like, it had the first 2, which were really close. And then, a couple were tied, and then a couple more were tied, and then a bunch were tied. And I was like, wow. Yeah. It's crazy to kind of see all of that play out.
No, absolutely. And I'm glad you did it. And it's great. And you've come such a long way from when you wrote your first one, from the first time that you were on the Power Play Post Show talking. You've come a long way. Your confidence about talking about hockey has been outstanding. And now listen, I know you got Jeremy and myself and Steve McAnanima that you talk to about hockey a lot. And hopefully we've been helpful in you learning the game, but you've done a great job. And what I love is that you are starting to get some of the same respect that I get for doing this show, for doing what you've done with the Power Play Post Show, with the impact players, and being on here. And I think you've kind of felt that a little bit recently from the coaching staff and a couple of the players, where they've shown you a lot of respect. And I think for me, that makes me feel good that they're doing that.
Oh, I mean, all over. I mean, even the fans have, come up to me and told me that, how much I've grown from the first time I've done it to doing it now.
Yeah.
Or how much there's been a lot of females that have reached out to me to say how much they appreciate me being on the show, because I don't know everything about hockey, and I will never pretend to know everything about hockey. And there's still a lot that I'm learning, but they've basically brought up the point that the way that, we talk about things and the back and forth has helped them learn a lot. And, they kind of feel like, they understand things better because I'm on the show, and, just things of that nature.
Yeah.
And even I've made friends with a lot of the dads this season, which is kind of crazy. It seems like I talk to more parents than I do players, which is hysterical to me. But, I really appreciate everyone who's reached out to me. And, even, Les Sirota reached out to me and he actually corrected me on something, which again, correct me on anything. I'm perfectly fine with it. I will take the criticism. I will take anything.
What did he correct you on?
He was so sweet about it.
What did he correct you on?
I'm assuming it's when I do my impact players and I say defensive men, and he like corrected me on like how he's like, it's not defensive men, it's this. And I was like, hey, listen, I'll take it. I appreciate, because he's like, I'm just, I'm letting you know, like, much love. And like, so like he said it so sweetly, like I was gonna take it wrong or something like that. But wow. I really appreciate it. And he's so sweet. And I think he came down to the Watertown game. I wasn't there, so I'm not entirely sure. And I think he's going to try to make it down to some of these games. I told him, like, I wanted to see him again, and like I haven't seen him in forever. Yeah. I think I only saw him that one time, and I hear all these stories and stuff, and he's so nice and everything. All the other dads are so nice too. And what's funny is he's now walking with a cane, and I was like, well, oh my gosh, Shane Carr's dad was just walking with a cane. So it's just kind of interesting, like how this season's kind of played out. And I've been able to talk to a lot of the players, and I have like a greater appreciation for everything that they do. And, even like listening to that interview with Q, like I understand so much more. I have a different perspective on things. And, Brant talking to me the way that he does. I mean, Brant always talked to us when we were at away games and stuff like that, or when you go to the Tully show. He's always so inclusive of the fans. It's so nice to see. But for him to like bring up the show and like listen, he talks about listening to the show. It's just something that it kind of catches me off guard, and it still does, even when fans like talk about the show and stuff. Because I honest to God, like I forget that people sit here and listen to us talk for hours on end. Right. And I showed you, somebody had made a post about they had a 3-hour drive, so they were going to listen to the show. I know, I love that. And, that was great. I was just scrolling through Facebook and I saw it, and I was like, do you remember her name? I'd love to be able to. I know one of them. I know Bree Miller was tagged. Yes. And I don't remember who like made the actual post, but I know Bree Miller was tagged. I saw that, and I thought it was so funny. Like I truly do forget that people are like listening to us, and like they talk to me about it and stuff. So it still does catch me off guard. I'm still not entirely used to that. Like I'm so used to kind of like being in the sidelines. Because even like before I started doing the show and stuff, like we used to go down to the player corner because Jeremy used to like to do the, the fists and the bumps and everything like that. And I would always just like stand way off in the back and like away from everybody. I like let the little kids go ahead of me, or, whoever go ahead of me. Like I wasn't ever like, right. I wanted to be a part of it and like, in their face type of thing. Like I've always been like back of the class type of personality, I guess, if you want to call it. So yeah, it still catches me very off guard, but everyone's been so nice, and it's been like, this has been by far the most fun I've had at during one of the seasons. And I even said that to Brant too. I was like, I have enjoyed every single minute of this. Wow, that's pretty cool. Okay, her name is Angel Whaley, and she was with Bree Miller. And like you said, 3 hours to the next house, time to listen to the Power Play Post Show. Thank you so much for saying that. I know you didn't tag me or Taylor in the post, but Taylor saw that, and she did send that to me, which I thought was pretty cool. There was another person I want to shout out. I want to shout out one more person, and his name is Brian Parsons, because apparently he's been paying attention. And Brian Parsons from the Port Huron Prowlers did like, or at least reacted, which was a like, to one of my reels. And this is the reel about Jesse Anderson, where we were talking about Jesse Anderson stepping up and being a man, which you laughed at when I said that. Because I only laughed the way that you said it. I know. I know. You really caught me off guard with the way you said that he was a man. it very much caught me off guard. Well, I'm not laughing at Jesse Anderson being a man. I do think Jesse Anderson is a man, but it's just the way that Bobby said it that really caught me. Yeah, no, I realized I said it in a very, very much a way where I was affirming that he was a man, and we already know. Listen, I know he is. It was just more of a man like standing up for his beliefs and what he needed to do, which was, kind of like, take care of business. He had to take care of business in that moment, but Brian Parsons liked the reel. So I guess he liked that, which was good. But yeah, no, we love it. This is what we're talking about with you, the fans. We love it when you engage with us and talk to us, say hello to us. Sometimes you guys say hello to me as I'm walking around the concourse
and I just say hi back, even if I don't know exactly who I'm saying hi to. I really do appreciate it. This has been the most fun for me the last 2.5 years since I brought the show back. I didn't have this kind of interaction with fans in the first iteration of the show. Social media and everything has changed so much. It's been really, really kind of nice to know that people care about what Taylor and I are doing. As much as the Black Bears. The Black Bears have really shown a lot of support, and they care a lot about what we're doing. And I know Taylor and Brant had a nice little conversation on Tuesday that we'll keep private about the show and about what we have done for them. And but at the same time, what they do for us is very impactful as well, which is they've provided so much great entertainment. If I didn't have hockey in my life, Taylor, and I don't know about you, because you guys got racing and you got cadence and everything like that, my life wouldn't be the same as it is right now. And I mean that in a very positive way. Like, doing this show means a lot for myself and what I can do and give back to the community that I love, especially the hockey community.
Yeah, I feel the same exact way. I was never, hockey is still like a brand new thing to me almost. I've been in it for a couple seasons now, but this is definitely the most that I've been involved ever. And probably any sport. I mean, I used to play basketball, but I did that solely to make my dad happy. And because I was a huge daddy's girl, still am. And, I played it only in elementary school. I didn't continue on when I went to high school. And so this is probably the first time that I've ever gotten into a sport. I've never been into football, could never get into it. Not into baseball. It's too slow for me. Even when you go to baseball games, I just, at this point, I just chase Cadence around. She runs around. I get to chase her. That's my entertainment.
Fair enough.
So yeah, for hockey, for me, it's fun. It's fast paced. It's so much that happens. And sometimes it feels like forever, especially that first period in Friday's game. But, it seems like it's so fast paced and everything that happens. And then these guys leave the ice and it's like nothing happened. They're two completely different people. And I talk about this all the time because I always bring up Gavin Yates. And I'm surprised that people don't think he's the most interesting guy in the locker room.
Yeah.
And that's because every time you talk to a player and they talk about Gavin Yates, he's so laid back and so chill.
Yeah.
And it's just the complete opposite from what you see on the ice. So it's so interesting to kind of see these guys, on and off the ice and the things that they do and the way that they really I asked Emery, that they truly are such a huge family, and the way that they take care of themselves and the way that they support the fans and the fans support them. It's truly been awesome to see. And I never in a million years would have ever thought that I would be on first name basis with some of these people, let alone a coach. I mean, I'm still Q saying my name when we were sitting there for that first practice still blows my mind. I still can't believe it, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And, I truly am grateful for all of this happening and the way that it's come about. It seems and you've been doing this for a long time, but for me, it seems like it's grown so much as the season has gone on for the things that we've done and the way that we're carrying things out. And I can't wait for next year. I'm already thinking can't wait for next year to start up almost. And I'm excited. It does, I'm upset that it's coming to an end now.
See,
but I'm also
now you're starting to think like me. Now you're starting to think like me when it comes to that. That's my whole point. We got really derailed here because we were in the middle of a preview with the Danbury Hat tricks, and I know that was my fault. So I'm going to get us back on track. If you remember, we were talking about the Danbury Hat tricks. They are led by Eli Rivers. He's got 51 games played, 20 goals, 29 assists for 49 points. He's got 3 power play goals and 2 game-winning goals. Anton Rubtsov, 42 games played, 22 goals, 23 assists, and 45 points. 2 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, and 3 game-winning goals. Konstantin Chernuk, 50 games played. Now, I remember he played a bunch of those, I think, in Watertown, if I remember correctly, this year. 10 goals, 28 assists for 38 points, 7 power play goals for Chernuk. Kyle Penn, 15, 14, and 1. Right, let's try that again. 15, 14, and 1 with a 2.96 6 goals against average, and a well, I wrote the same thing down for a save percentage, so I think that's around 900. The Black Bears are led by CJ Stubbs, 52 games played, 39 goals, 57 assists for 96 points. He's got 12 power play goals, 5 shorthanded goals, and 9 game-winning goals. He needs 4 points to get to 100, and with 2 games left, his projection is 100. He should get 2 points per game as long as he's playing in both. We'll see. Ivan Bondarenko, 54 games played. He'll be playing in the final 2 games because they're going to have 2 players that'll hit 56 games this season, and that'll be Scott Romakers and Ivan Bondarenko. But Bondarenko's got 19 goals, 76 assists for 95 points, 3 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, 1 game-winning goal. He needs 5 points to hit 100, and right now his projection is 99. Okay. Mac Jansen's 46 games played, 32 goals, 34 assists for 66 points, 10 power play goals, 2 shorthanded goals, and 8 game-winning goals. Dominic Tomei, 27-2-1 with a 1.86 goals against average and a 930 save percentage. He's got 7 shutouts on the season, which is the single season franchise record, and now tied with Brendan Colgan for the league lead. On the special teams, Binghamton's power play is ranked 3rd, so it's dipped a little bit. Still, they have the most power play goals in the league with 78, and they have a 25% conversion rate. On the PK, they're ranked 1st. 29 power play only, and that's just nuts. If you think about it, they play 56 games and they have scored just barely one, or allowed just barely one per a half a goal per game. If you averaged it out, Taylor, just a half a goal per game they give up on the power play or on the penalty kill. That's insane.
I keep looking at the numbers, and then like even just between like the players, like the leaders on their team compared to ours, and it's just
never
absolutely
close.
Insanity.
It is. Binghamton kills 89% of the penalty kills. Danbury power play is ranked 12th. They've only scored 38 power play goals. We've scored 78. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. 15% conversion rate. And on the PK, they are 4th, which is not bad. 42 power play goals given up. And they have an 84% kill rate, which is good. Now, I do not expect we'll see Johnny Ruiz on the ice this upcoming weekend, but I'm sure he will be in the building on Friday night in Danbury, as he has been recently attending more of the games. Johnny, if you ever do get to hear this, me and Taylor really hope you get on the ice again someday soon. We know that's a long shot. We know that there are more important things in life than you getting back on the ice, but you're one of the players that we like to see on the ice, especially in Danbury. And so we hope you get well. And I'm pretty sure you'll be at the game on Friday night because you have been at the last few games. But again, from Taylor and I, we really do hope you get to play hockey again at this level or any level, because we know that that's a big part of what makes you. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I am a big fan of Johnny Ruiz.
Yeah, I think everybody is in the whole league, like just up and down. Every single fan, team, coach, all of them are just huge fans of Ruiz. And I think that's kind of a huge staple of what, Danbury and Ruiz mean to everybody in this league. But, he's a hockey player. And let's be completely honest, these hockey players, they're, in my opinion, the toughest, strongest athletes in the entire world. Like, I don't think there's anything that beats them out. And
Agreed.
That's solely my opinion. But these guys are so resilient and they're so willing to do whatever it takes to get out there on the ice. And, it's insane to kind of see all the things that they battle and all the things they go through. So definitely, a speedy recovery and everything's great. And, he's out and about, which is awesome. He's, from what I've seen, it's remarkable what he's done. So I hope that continues for him. And I hope we do get to see him out on the ice again. It'd be definitely a great sight to see for sure.
Absolutely. 100%.
And You weren't far off when you said that you didn't have Penton's number, and you were like, it's got to be 9. It's 919 for his save percentage. So you're pretty close.
All right. I don't know why I didn't write it down properly, but it happens sometimes when you're rushing to make an outline and get us.
I know you didn't even give me the outline.
Oh my God! Don't even start with this. Don't even start with this. We're going to try to keep this under an hour and 45 minutes, which we are very close, but unfortunately we're at 1 hour and 44 minutes. I still have the extra to do. So with that being said, if you see me this weekend on Saturday night and I have a tear in my eye, it's not because I'm sick. It's not because I'm sad. Well, it's because I'm probably sad that it's the final game of the regular season, but I'm going to be happy for the playoffs. All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcasts platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show. And please, for the love of God, subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search for Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net. Thank you to Rob Lapoulis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears, forward CJ Stubbs. I am your host, Bob Howard. She is
Welch.
And we'll talk to you guys next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.